Hey, how we doing? It's JJ. So I've run a couple of video clips in that already before actually doing my introduction, and you would have seen that this particular wood that I'm in, they've come in, they've logged it, done some felling, and it looks quite devastating when you first come across it. I did a walk the other day, and I kind of knew they were out there. You could hear them in a little wood and then another one, and the same thing. All these woods are sort of connected, part of the same estate and managed by the same estate management policy. And yeah, it looks devastating when you look at this. They're kind of like, there's no sort of real rhyme or reason to what they've done, but where you obviously get certain trees that are double limbed, they've taken one out. They've cleared a lot of the hornbeam out, they've taken some ash out. Yeah, it looks devastating, but you know what, the woods have to be managed, they have to be cared for, and you need to think about future use. Yeah, they will get some timber out of it, judging by what they purely took out of one of the smaller woods. They're gathering quite a bit of wood, which will obviously be used on the farm, but they'll also sell. It's obviously, you know, these farms, these big estates and that, they have to raise money, they have to create capital. So you come into a wood and you see all this down, and yeah, you kind of think, wow, that looks terrible. You know, there are trees that they've cut down and then they've just kind of left there, and you think, why didn't you just leave it growing? But if you let everything continuously grow, then it's not being managed properly. There's not any real understanding of the life of sorry, I've just watched a jay fly out from one tree to another. Yeah, there's no sort of real understanding of the woodland cycle, the management behind it. So yeah, there's trees left lying around. Obviously they come out to take out the real sort of like bigger ones that they can actually use for like the logging industry and sell. So there's a lot of brush, there's a lot of the canopy of the smaller sort of hornbeam and ash and some sycamore and hazel just left lying around, and the earth is all torn up. And but that's a good thing, you know, that is actually a good thing when you see it, because it'll open up the ground to other animals be able to sort of come in, and they'll be able to forage and feed better. It'll open it up, it'll put oxygen back into the ground, it'll enable insects to sort of get going over a larger sort of area. It opens up more feeding opportunities to like deer and fox and badger and squirrel and all sorts. And it opens up the canopy, so then the newer vibrant sort of shoots and that can start to grow up. You take out the older stuff that's kind of seen at its best, and stuff that's sort of dying, and they've only sort of worked on one side of the wood, and that's good, because the other side of the wood is actually a much younger side to it. So it's about encouraging new growth and that. So when you see it, you kind of think, wow, you've really decimated that wood. But woods have to earn property's money. Thankfully it's just down one swathe of the wood, won't really touch the bluebell side, but that's okay. I'm just going to carry on, I'm going to enjoy my wander. There you go, a little bit of a woodland management there for you. Yeah, it looks rubbish, looks terrible, looks like you've ripped the heart out of the wood. But woods have to grow, they have to regenerate, and this is how it's done nowadays. Stuff that's on the floor will sort of harbour insects and that over winter, and that's great. As I say, a lot of this stuff comes down, it will stay there forevermore. And I dare say you notice now when they go into certain woods, they take down timbers and then they'll leave like a pyramid of them laying on the floor, you know, and it's basically creating like an insect hotel. And so all this stuff on the floor will enable insects and other sort of burrowing animals and that to get some shelter during the winter. It also provides me the perfect opportunity, without cutting down trees, to gather a load of good wood, get it back in the garage, get it dried out and use it next year. Brucey bonus. understanding the role of woodland management is really important, not only from a biodiversity side in terms of the wildlife increasing the health and the vitality of the wood, but also for those that manage it. One of the great things about anyone that enjoys the outdoors and going into the woods is just being able to get out there and you know, forget the whole leave no trace, stealth camping, whether you're allowed to camp or not. We just enjoy being out there. And a really good way of getting yourself a broader knowledge and understanding of woodland management is to join like your local organisation, and whether that's the Woodlands Trust, your local wildlife trust. So for me that's the Hearts and Middlesex Wildlife Trust, or whether it's the RSPB or whatever. Become a volunteer and help on days out in the woods doing some management, and you'll get a better understanding of what actually happens in the woods. And it's also a really good way of finding out what woods you can use and what woods you can't use. And you know what, you might get on really well with the team, you might start to get to know the landowner a bit better, and you know, you can introduce yourself after a period of time. You know, don't just do it, you know, hi, I'm JJ, I want to camp in your woods and light fires. You know, don't do that on the first day. You've got to work at it for a little bit, but it is a good way to actually work on new permissions and things like that. And it just gets you a bit more time in the woods, and you can appreciate it more. So that's enough from me. I'm going to enjoy the rest of my coffee, and that's enough from me. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch up again soon.